I'm Gabrielle Augustine, and I'm the designer behind Whimsical Woolies. And today I'm going to talk to you about what happens when we make mistakes in our brioche. Now, we love brioche, it's squishy. You can create all kinds of cool designs with it. But when we make mistakes, it can be a little scary. There's some yarn overs, some extra loops, it's in ribbing, and there's two colors. So today, I'm going to try and help demystify what to do when those brioche blunders happen to better prepare you as you keep going on your brioche journey. So let's get going. I won't cover how to do each type of brioche stitch, but here's a quick review of the terms. Yarn 1 for this swatch will be the white yarn. Yarn 2, this is the blue yarn. These terms will vary by pattern and designer. Sometimes you'll see light color and dark color. Other times will be main color and contrast color. But for now, we're using yarn 1 and 2. You have selvage stitches. You'll find these when you're working brioche flat. There are brioche knits. They're like regular knitting, you get V's. You have brioche purls. The purl bump is there, but it's a little more buried. Then you have slip-on yarn overs. These are what make brioche knitting extra squishy. Some other key reminders. Like regular ribbing, when you brioche knit a stitch on one side, you'll brioche purl it on the other, and vice versa. Don't forget, when you're counting stitches, you count the stitch and the yarn over that's with it. Also, each row is fully worked once you've worked both yarns across. That means you work yarn 1 across and then yarn 2. That's one full row. Generally, on the right side of brioche, you work the brioche knits first and then the brioche purls. And then on the wrong side, you'll work the brioche purls first and then the knits. So let's get into how we fix brioche mistakes. Remember, to complete a row, you work yarn 1 across and then you work yarn 2. When you're tinking brioche, you work this in reverse. First thing you do is you unknit yarn 2. You're going to go and slip that selvage stitch because you didn't work it with yarn 2. Then you tink your brioche purl. Use your needle to go and follow that stitch that you made, just up through there. Then you're going to undo your slip-on yarn over, just like that, and then you slip that stitch back on your left-hand needle. Then you repeat this across the row. And undo that slip-on yarn over, slip that back over there, undo your brioche purl, and here we go, all the way across, just like that. Then when you're at the other end, you're going to slip that last selvage stitch because you knit that or brioche purl that with yarn 2. Now you go back to the other side of your work and you're going to tink your brioche knits. You unknit your selvage stitch, then you undo your slip-on yarn over, just slipping that stitch back there, undoing that yarn over, then you undo your brioche knit and you repeat across the row. Undo your brioche knit, undo the slip-on yarn over. Here we go, all the way across the row until the other end, and then you unknit that other selvage stitch. And that is tinking. This is incredibly useful for fixing a variety of brioche mistakes, especially if you catch them before getting too much further in your project. Next up, we're going to make sure that your stitches face the correct direction. As with regular knitting, we can sometimes get a brioche stitch going awry, whether it's somehow twisted or your yarn over is in the wrong direction. But not to fret. I find that the majority of the time, this is a mistake you'll notice while the stitches are on the needle, not one that's down a few rows. And this is mostly because it's visually jarring, or as you're knitting across, going into the stitch doesn't feel quite right. For stitches, not the slip-on yarn overs, always make sure your yarn is going over your needle from the front to the back of the work. For those pesky yarn overs that are part of the slip-on yarn over, it's the same concept. Your yarn should always wrap front to back over your needle. And it kind of nestles with the stitch it will be worked with in the next half row. If everything is laying correctly, the yarn overs are leaning left. As you can see, most of these across the row are looking just fine, except there's this one that doesn't look quite right. It's been wrapped the wrong way. So what happens if something's been twisted? Let's focus on this yarn over. You could tink, totally one way to do that. Or say this is a huge project and you don't want to tink back to that point. Totally understand that. So what I would do is mark it with a reusable stitch marker. We know where this one is. Work your row until normal, until you get to it. You fix it, and then you keep going. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to go and knit here. Gonna do our slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over. All right, here it is. So we need to make sure that it goes from front to back, not from back to front like it's currently doing. So all you do, you go and take this off the needle, you go and switch how it is. And you might have to take that loop off the needle to put it underneath, that's okay. And then you are ready to keep on working across the row. Missed yarn overs happen all the time. Maybe you're cruising along and slip a stitch without yarn overing. Maybe you don't catch it with your needle. Either way, they're relatively easy to spot as they generally end up being a bar across a stitch column. So we're going to look at how to pick up that yarn over back up when it happened recently and as when it happened a few rows ago. So if it's in the same row, like twisted stitches, you have two options. You can tink back, or you can note it and fix it when you're knitting your next row. Either way, you want to make sure you set the yarn over correctly around the stitch. Make sure it's wrapped the correct way from front to back. So again, we're going to knit our selvage stitch. Then we're going to go and slip one yarn over, brioche knit that stitch since that's fine. Brioche slip one yarn over. Oh, here it is. All right. So we're going to pick up that stitch and then go down and pick up that yarn over. Perfect. Look at it. It's going front to back. So then we're going to be able to brioche knit. No big deal. And now we can carry on across the rest of the row. All right. But what if you spot that missed yarn over after you've already worked several more rows? You can ladder down to fix it, but very carefully. You will need your trusty crochet hook. Next, you will access which side you will be working on. In my opinion, always work on the V side. Like with knitting, this will be much easier to ladder back up than on the purl side. So, after you get to this spot, you're going to drop your offending stitch. take a look at the structure as you drop the stitch. Do you see how the yarn overs lay behind the V? This is what helps make brioche so squishy. When you get to the missed yarn over, you first put it behind the stitch. Then you're going to ladder back up. But make sure as you do this, you'll be laddering your yarn overs as well as the stitches. Try and just follow the structure that was left as you laddered down. And so you go pick up the yarn over. That's there, yep. And then we pick up that stitch. And since those yarn overs are already sitting behind the stitch, this makes your job very easy. And then you put this back on your needle. And then you are ready to keep going. And look at that, no other missed yarn overs. The structure looks the same on the brioche purl side. So my one other thought is that if the missed yarn over is too far back, say inches, I do recommend that you tink or carefully frog back to that mistake. This also applies if it's under an increase or a decrease. Other loops come into play and it makes it way more difficult to fix with laddering. And as useful as laddering back is, you really can't do that when you miss an increase or a decrease because of that yarn usage. So just trying to fix that several rows back will just mess with your project's gauge and tension. This is probably a good time to note, if you're worried about frogging, I do recommend using lifelines. They're called lifelines for a reason. Speaking of decreases though, the last fixing tip I'll talk about is what to do if you accidentally mix up the direction the decrease is supposed to go. Obviously, the sooner you spot this, the better, but you can fix a left-leaning decrease that's meant to go right and vice versa. In my swatch, we have two decreases. This one is a brioche right-leaning one, and this one is a brioche left-leaning one. You can tell because the angle of the stitch on top is leaning in that direction, or as I like to say, one of them's eating the other. So let's pretend I was supposed to do them the other way. Remember, in brioche, the most common decreases you see are by 2 stitches. That's because in order to keep this rib effect, knit, purl, you decrease out 2 stitches. And the same when it comes to increases. Of course, you could decrease or increase 4 stitches at a time, but we're not going to get into that. So, once I get to the first decrease that's supposed to go the other way, I'm going to take the stitch off the needle. As I pull out the loop, you see that there are 3 stitches involved. A knit, a purl, and another knit. The brioche left-leaning decrease is made by slipping that first knit, knitting the next 2 stitches together, and then slipping that first knit on top of that pile. So to get this to lean right, I need this leftmost knit to be on top. So I put these stitches on the needle, and I'm then going to do the steps for a right-leaning decrease. Untwist the purl to make sure it sits correctly, and then untwist that knit with its slip-one yarn over. So when you do a right-leaning decrease, you slip the first stitch knitwise. You then knit, you're going to use that loop that's back there, knit that purl stitch, take that stitch over and off the needle, and then you're going to slip that onto your left-hand needle so you take that leftmost stitch over and off that needle, and now they're sitting in the correct direction. And then don't forget, you got to put that slip-one yarn over back onto the needle. So we're just going to slip the stitches instead of working a row. We're going to slip down to the other decrease. And the same thing. It's just the reverse steps. We're going to take out the right-leaning decrease. And again, you're going to have 3 stitches, a knit, a purl, and a knit. You're going to place everything on the needle. So make sure you just get them on the needle. And like that. Oop, that yarn wants to split. There we go. All right. So then you're going to slip that first stitch. Then you're going to knit these next 2 stitches together. Sometimes it's hard to get through all of those loops. Make sure you wrap that loop around front to back. You're going to pull then that through. And then you're going to take that first slip stitch with its yarn over and off the needle. Whew, we did it as soon as I pick up this yarn over. There we go. There we are. We did it. We can continue on to the brioche pattern, no sweat. Just going to slip everything so it's back on one needle. There, we did it. We just reversed the directions of our decreases. Isn't that pretty cool? Whew, that was a lot. I know we covered several tips in quite a short amount of time, but hopefully they will help you on your brioche journey and as you keep tackling bigger brioche projects so that you can be confident when those mistakes happen, which inevitably they will. But that doesn't mean you have to be scared of doing brioche, because now you're armed with how to fix them. And so one of the things, if you're a little worried about taking these to a bigger brioche project, one of the things I recommend for your next steps is to knit a brioche swatch, something about the size of what I used in this video, and drop a yarn over, redo a decrease, undo a twisted stitch, tink back a couple rows so that you get the feel for how the stitches work and will feel right when they're sitting correctly. It's a very low stakes way to play with the brioche, and then you don't have to worry about messing it up. Now, if you're a visual person like me, I have created a visual flow chart that will help hopefully identify those mistakes as you come to them. And then what are the best ways to go about fixing them? You'll find that in the link below. Of course, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I thank you for watching.